We will succeed and we will win. That's how we do it.
Every vehicle stop that you make or every encounter has its risks. He's under arrest right now.
Right now, they're offloading them into the facility. What would happen if y'all weren't here, do you think?
I think there would be a lot of activity. They're going to take advantage of the path of least resistance.
So this is literally the boundary line right here that's
Right.
cut through?
Yep.
Do you think you need a wall?
We're here to support the community and make it a safer place for everyone to live.
It's really God's country.
Hey, I'm Allie Bradley with NewsNation, and we are out here with Border Patrol in the Spokane sector in Whitefish, Montana, and they actually just apprehended 5 individuals that they say are here illegally, so right now they're offloading them into the facility.
When they pulled him over, they identified a Mexican national and then a Venezuelan national. The Mexican national they've confirmed is illegally present in the country, so that's where you see he's under arrest right now. The Venezuelan, they're currently writing checks to determine whether or not he's has legal documents to be within the country right now.
So when they run those checks, that cross references with like the judicial database situation where if they have an NTA or they're going through an asylum proceeding or you guys have access to that information as well?
Yes, absolutely.
So you're not just sacking up people who have some kind of legal protection around them when you're out here?
No, they're running the full records checks on both subjects to absolutely determine whether or not they are legally present or not present in the country, and then effect the arrest if they're illegally present.
Now, you guys have been doing more of these arrests. Is there more danger for your agents? What is the biggest concern, if there is any, out here doing these kinds of targeted operations?
Sure. This is, they are a more risky operation in terms of making these encounters with subjects that have been in the country for sometimes a period of time, who have been working here, living here, and do not want to be arrested. And so, we take great efforts in terms of our planning process when we go in and make these arrests and these encounters to ensure that everyone is operating in a very safe manner.
Does it concern you? Is there a heightened risk for a community when these, do you see pursuits? Do you see things that, are out of the ordinary for you guys right now, and that could potentially cause risk for your community as well?
So it can. Every vehicle stop that you make or every encounter has its risks, and that could result in a failure to yield, someone bailing out of the vehicle and running into the community. So absolutely. Anytime you make an encounter, especially in this kind of environment, there's always that risk. But again, our agents are extremely well trained and mitigate those risks as much as possible to ensure that their safety and the safety of the community is priority when we're doing these kind of encounters.
We're just on some targeted enforcement with Border Patrol.
Yes.
Tell me, how do you guys find these targets in the first place?
Yeah.
So we have a very robust intelligence unit here in the Spokane sector and the Whitefish station practically. So they do a lot of effort at using our law enforcement systems and identifying subjects that have criminal records that are working and living, operating here in this area. So they put a lot of effort into that. We've been very, very fortunate with the security at the southwest border, not having to send agents down to the southwest border, having to put agents in processing, do virtual processing. That opens us up now to be able to do more targeted enforcement efforts. And we're focused on the criminal aliens, right? That's what we're doing. So we had 2 targets this morning that we went after, that we had identified that were here illegally in the United States with criminal backgrounds. We didn't locate those targets, but we found a subject that was associated to them in a vehicle that we were looking for. And so he was illegal from Mexico, and right now the process of
we know what his criminal record is with the man from Mexico?
Yeah, so no, at this time we do not. So we're running his checks right now to look at, get the full background on that. But we do know he's illegally present in the country at this time.
Now, when it comes to the targeted enforcement operations, just like you were saying, you don't have to surge people down to the southern border anymore.
Yes.
Tell me about the increase in those targeted ops that you've been able to carry out here in the sector.
Sure, in Spokane, it's been a very robust effort, and it's been a whole government approach, working with ERO, HSI, federal, state, local partners across the board. Northern border doesn't have obviously the resources that the southern border does. The activity level isn't as high up there, so we work very closely with the partnerships here when it comes to targeted enforcement. And obviously the administration has made a very big focus. So we on going after that criminal element that's living, working, legally present here in the country. So we're doing that on a daily basis, and it's been a very robust effort from our units here.
Statistically, for consumer digestion,
Sure,
what would you
sure.
say the increase has been? Would you say you went from 5 to 500, or are we looking at like just a jump in a handful? What are we looking at?
No, we've made significant improvements on our targeted arrests here. I think we're well over 100% of where we were last year to date, well over that. Right now we're seeing about 200 plus apprehensions so far year to date. The majority of those targeted enforcement arrests.
Wow. Now, what does that mean to your community? What would you want people to know about your efforts there?
We're here to support the community and make it a safer place for everyone to live. That's our goal. And so we can make an effective arrest on someone with a criminal background, a criminal record here in the United States, and remove them from the community. That's what we want. It's a safer place for everyone in the community when we can do that.
Now, Chief, obviously you've seen headlines, you've seen people picked up by ICE, picked up by the feds who weren't here illegally or something like that. Today, there was a man who was going through a legal process that you guys didn't arrest.
Sure.
Explain a little bit about your efforts and the fact that you're not just going around picking up innocent people.
Exactly.
Can you reassure your community that that's not happening?
Sure. So we investigate everyone fully. We use our law enforcement systems that we have in place to ensure that we're arresting the right people and removing the people that they need to be butchered. So the other subject that was in that vehicle had a temporary protected status here in the United States. He was a citizen from Venezuela, and we didn't have the right to arrest him at this time. So he's still going through that immigration process. The other one didn't, and he'll be removed from the country.
Do you guys notate that? Is that in the system where, hey, his TPS is going to be up in September, we now know where he is, we're going to go find him later, or what does that look like?
Absolutely. So this is going to be someone that we're going to have as a potential target, right? So we'll look further into his background, they'll investigate that, our intelligence units, and if it's someone that we know is living here and his status is up, for example, that would be someone absolutely we go and check on to make sure that he's left the country.
Is there concern for your community? I mean, obviously you guys are able to do more because you have more manpower.
Yes.
It's not necessarily because there's more of the illegal element here, but those statistics, some people might go, we've got this surge of people in Whitefish and in Kalispell and in the Spokane sector. Kind of explain that in a way so people understand that it's kind of statistically going up because you have the manpower to do it.
Sure. Now, we have not surged manpower to Spokane sector. We've just now been able to utilize the current staffing that we have in sector because we're not being deployed to the southwest border. We're not doing virtual processing. We're not sitting in those processing centers. So we can maximize those enforcement efforts here to target those criminals that we're going to be promoting, as well as patrolling the border. And you see, we've got a big border that we're going to go to tomorrow, a very remote, extreme border environment that we patrol on a daily basis. And that's our priority. So our priority is always going to be on the border. But when we have the available assets to go after some of these targets, we're going to do that as well. We're going to be able to do both.
Have you guys been asked to go into the interior to assist with ICE out, away from the border? I know if it has a nexus to the border, you guys can go anywhere.
Sure.
Have you been asked to go and supplement ICE on any of their interior enforcement?
So we do work with ICE on a regular basis, and interior enforcement for us, would be going, much further into southern Washington and southern Montana. No, we stay a little bit closer into our sector's area of responsibility working with ICE. We have a number of targets that we're working with them on a regular basis. We have agents assigned to task forces that they're doing a lot of work with them also.
Okay, but the need isn't there yet. You haven't gotten the we need you down here. Come down to help us out
We have
yet.
enough work here in the Spokane sector to stay focused there. We have, again, I think the ERO partnership is really good in this area. They don't, like everyone else, they don't have the assets that they need, so we need to help them and support them, and we do that on a regular basis. We support each other as a law enforcement community. This is something that's been a very big focus for us in this sector because we know that there's some action that needs to be taken, and we have the ability to do that. And that's very important for us. We have a fantastic group of agents here in this sector that are motivated and ready to do this every day, very well trained, and they do it the right way.
The day has continued to kind of produce some activity.
Yeah, progress. Absolutely.
These individuals here, they were actually our initial target. Tell me about the apprehension.
Sure. So this was one of our original targets from this morning. We did not locate him early in the morning, but after we had made that arrest there, the agents still went out to conduct operations to try to locate that vehicle and that subject, and they did. And in the car were 4 other folks that happened to be illegally present in the country as well. So all 5 were arrested and are brought here to be processed, and will be ultimately turned over to ICRO for mobile proceedings.
Now, one of those individuals had several prior deports. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so he had 4 previous encounters with Border Patrol where he was returned back to Mexico on previous locations. Yes.
So is that why he was on the radar?
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. Living here in town, running a business in town as well, and employing illegal aliens as well at town.
So we don't know yet what the individuals that were in the car, but likely somebody working with him or for him in some capacity?
Yes,
Okay.
That's what we expect.
Now, when it comes to that individual, he was deported 4 times previously.
Sure, yeah.
Do you guys get a little alert in your system? Like, what is it? How does that work where you find them? Do you get a docket of the day, or what does that look like when you learn, hey, there's a guy in our community that's been deported 4 times?
Sure. So they've been investigating a number of folks in the area that with criminal backgrounds, and so through those links and associates, he popped up on the radar, and then he became a target for a Life station.
How long does that take on average to get one of these targets? Is it a day? Is it weeks? Is it months?
Yeah, that's really hard to quantify, to be honest with you. So I couldn't give you an actual time frame that it takes, but they do their due diligence, and it does take some time to locate these folks, that's for sure.
Awesome. Anything else, Chief, on
That's it.
on this app?
It's been a good day so far. The agents have done a really good job. Everyone came back safe, and that's what we expect.
So we're standing in the garage of what used to be a port of entry type situation in this area. Now what is it used for?
Well, right now, since this port of entry was shut down, the Whitefish Station adopted this building, and we use it as our forward operating base because we're, as you drove up here, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get up here depending on the road. So this is where we keep our equipment up here for either winter, summer. We'll be swapping these out with our ATVs here in the near future. And from here, it just gives the agents more time on site, in a sense, right? Because you have about a 3-hour between coming and going on their shift. So up here, we get an extra couple hours of work at the border, a little more opportunity to get out and see some things in the woods and explore other areas.
Is it necessary? Do you need the manpower up here to be
Absolutely.
Operating up here and monitoring
absolutely.
this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? What's going on up here?
Well, the AOR works like a funnel anyway, so getting up here and being able to monitor what happens here. We do have tourist traffic that kind of arrives on the north side sometimes, Canadians and different people, and this is really one of the only routes to get in if they're going to bring a vehicle down. So having somebody at this location are able to respond to this and utilize this site to work out of, it's critical. And then we have our technology that kind of works as a hub through this place.
Okay, awesome. So you guys are able to monitor what's going on in the area through technology and things like that. You're able to get out in the field quickly. This is a good access point for the
Right.
border
We're at
proximity,
it.
right?
Yeah, we're absolutely
Okay.
we're right at the border. So.
Let's check out some of the inside here, Chris, and then we'll kind of go outside and look at the lack of infrastructure out there. So how many agents will work out of here any given day?
Generally speaking, as long as, depending on how many we have on duty, we're not a big station, but almost every shift and definitely every 24 hours somebody's up here to kind of work out of this facility.
Okay.
And then when we'll run, particular ops where we're going to come up here and we're going to go, for instance, snowmobile, and we're going to run several days. The guys will just stay here at the
You have bunks,
the pub.
like they actually sleep in here sometimes
Yes.
if they need to? Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll stay out of, guys will stay out of here sometimes, several times a year, 2, 3, 4 days sometimes.
Okay.
And then we'll have, for instance, if we go into the park, you'll have, for instance, our horse patrol can come up and they can be here, and then they can do supply runs into the agents that are actually in the park setting up, where they're camping out there in Glacier Park on foot.
These are all things that you would never think of down at the southern border. Everything, has a different proximity. So the fact that you guys had to shift and adjust to make this work for the vastness of this area, it's pretty cool to see how it all comes together.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so what's over here? Anything important? Anything I need to see?
Not necessarily. We just got we've
going
got a
outside.
garage, and we have a skid steer in there because we have to kind of clear out our own snow and maintain this ourselves.
Really?
For the most part, yeah. And we have two generators, because we're off grid right here. They run off of the propane tank. We do get the propane resupplied up here, but we're pretty much an off-grid cabin running on generators and solar panels up here. So.
I mean, a lot of the agents that I talk to, they're watching my stories and they're so jealous. They want to be up at Whitefish. They want to be up here. I mean, aside from the beauty of it, it's a really tough area, right? I mean, everything is far away. You're living off generators up here, things like that. Why do people want to come up to this area? Why do they want to be in this sector?
Well, it's a beautiful place to work. I think just living here, we're all part of the community. It's not a large community, but we're tight with the community. We have a North Fork Association community that lives along this North Fork Road that we all know really well. Just working in the AOR, it's absolutely stunning to work in this AOR. It's challenging. I mean, you've seen the peaks. We have 10,000 foot peaks, but it's really God's country. I mean, it's a beautiful place to work.
Yeah, everyone's jonesing for it, man. They're all like, we want to be up in Montana. You're so lucky. Let's go outside and let's see some of the beauty of it, but also kind of some of the issues you guys and challenges you have out here. So we're looking out here, Chris. There's literally nothing. That is the entry into Canada right there. Correct. So do you think that there's something that's necessary right there? Do you need something right here? Or is this good enough? I mean, you've got a gate, I suppose, but is that a
bit of an upgrade to
security?
the infrastructure would be helpful. We have had people, and sometimes we've had people come down as tourists, and then just something to really make it clear. Don't cross over here, and same from this side when people come, so that it's very clear, don't cross that. Because this little section, we have the slash, and you can see it going up that way and that way. But this is a place where we can drive to. Everything else is going to be on foot, horse, or in the wintertime we can take the snowmobiles up when the snow's deep enough. Okay. But just having this secure a little bit more would help, just because it's not.
Now, do you think you need a wall, or is it more vehicle barriers that you would
More
think?
Vehicle barriers. I think vehicle barriers would probably be sufficient up here. Something in the slash perhaps, or on one side or the other, because when the snow gets deep enough, it's pretty easy to get a snowmobile through up here.
So what kind of illicit activity is happening? Are we just seeing people trying to cross in illegally? Are drugs moving across the border? What's happening between the northern border and the United States right now?
This AOR, we're not seeing much of that. We've had some northbound traffic that's gone into Canada with guns actually here just a couple of years ago, and we've had people come up here and scout this, that we're pretty sure they're coming up and they're scouting this area. I think the remote nature of not just this side but the other side in Canada, it's so remote, it makes it less attractive for them. We do have to monitor. We have the North Fork River over here, and we monitor that pretty close for if anybody wants to come in on a kayak, because they can actually float
That
right down.
happens?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's any markings in the river or anything to show, hey, you've now gone into a different country?
Yeah, there isn't, but we monitor it with technology, and we've had people that have actually requested and been granted basically a crossing permit, and they've worked it out to do it legally, and it takes a little bit of work on their end to do it. But
there's a little demarcation line right there. That's the slash that you're talking about right here.
You can come up here, you can kind of see.
So now when it comes to the guns going out, law enforcement down the southern border have told me that means it was a successful transaction of something coming in. the guns and illicit cash kind of things going north or south are generally an indication that cartel or criminal organization was able to get something into the country, and that's kind of going out as payment. Is that something that you...
That wasn't the situation we had was more of just sort of a one individual
Okay.
U.S. citizen that kind of went a little sideways, and he broke into some houses, stole some guns, and then he went up into Canada with them.
Wow.
And then we worked with RCMP to help track him down once we'd kind of identified who he was, and then they did track him down.
What's that working relationship like with Canada? How is that?
It's outstanding. I mean, RCMP is a really top-notch enforcement organization. They have a huge responsibility, and they enforce so many different aspects of their laws. But when we have the opportunity to work with them, we share technology assets. They share their technical expertise in some areas on the technology we use, and it's a great relationship. I mean, they've never failed to respond, help, or in any way, anything we need from them. They've always been there for us. So.
Is the relationship with Canada stronger than the relationship with our neighbors in the south in Mexico?
I couldn't say. I couldn't say. I know just this up here with RCMP and the group we work with up here, FSOC. They've been outstanding.
Very responsive.
Very
helpful.
responsive,
Okay.
very professional, and kind of willing to try anything, help us in any way we can, and of course we'll help them any way we can. So.
Have they called on you guys for much help for any issues that are happening? Some of the agents that I talk to say that they've been seeing some people trying to go to Canada, and Canada kind of kicks them back into the United States, immigration related. Is that an issue at all in this sector, in this area?
Not in this area.
Okay.
I mean, it may be, we don't actually have an active port of entry, so we get a lot less of that type of activity and interaction that has to occur because theirs is completely shut down and ours is our fob. So.
Yeah. So this is literally the boundary line right here that's cut through?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. And the river's right over here?
Right. You see where there's a red ball hanging there?
Yeah.
We have a tower there, and there's like a basket, and you can crank yourself across the North Fork River into the park.
What?
Yeah.
Like a zip line kind of situation,
Kinda,
but like
yeah,
controlled?
But very exhausting to do, yeah.
Can we do it?
It takes a while.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. That could
And
be a
then,
great
same
live
thing.
shot.
This runs up that way up into the mountain.
Okay. So, I mean, what is, you get a handful of people a year or every couple of years. Do you need the manpower? Do you need additional staffing? Are you guys sufficient where you're at? What do you need here right now, or is there a need?
Well, I think as far as the manpower, I mean, we're dealing with a 2-hour gap sometimes just because of shift change. We have enough people to run 3 shifts. We run 24/7, but sometimes we have those gaps, but we kind of make up the differences with technology. But as far as what we did yesterday with the target enforcement operations, having more manpower would open up better opportunities for that. In order to me, I look at it as what we do as far as the targeted enforcement operations is what reduces the influence of the networks in the United States to encourage people to cross the border, right? Because that's how they get the information, the financing, and the inducement to come here. So if you reduce the networks here, you don't have as much push from the south side. They don't have the information or resources to get here.
Gotcha. So what would happen if y'all weren't here, do you think?
I think there would be a lot of activity.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So if you removed yourself, then the criminal organizations would take advantage of your absence.
Absolutely.
Why do you think that? It's quiet.
Well, it's wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to take advantage of the path of least resistance. So if we give them a path of least resistance, they'll use it.
Okay. And your presence here and their cooperation and maybe a couple more things of infrastructure by way of vehicle barriers would kind of give that better opportunity for full operational control at
Yes.
the northern border as well.
Yes, that, more technology. It's just
Okay.
more of a, like a force multiplier type technology. The more we have, the better, because it's a huge area. It's 32 miles of border, more or less, that we have to cover, and it looks like this terrain. I mean, it's really difficult.
And I mean, like, say a camera hits, right? Say you get somebody on a camera. I mean, it's going to take you 2 hours to get to them, right? I mean, is it? How hard is that to locate somebody or something that hits on one of these cameras that you guys are tracking? And
Well, a lot of terrain dictates the
Okay.
path, right? The terrain, we've got this one road that comes up, but a lot of the terrain will dictate that. Even out in this rougher country, most people aren't going to go over a 8,000-foot peak straight up and down. So we have the terrain to kind of work to our advantage, and we use that as much as we can.
Now, I don't know if you can speak on it at all, but when it comes to the Spokane sector in general, are illicit drugs things like that? Is that concerning? Is that something we're seeing? And then are we anticipating any influx in that with the pressure of tariffs right now? I mean, we've got tariffs on Canada. Is there pressure or concern that goods and drugs could be kind of smuggled in, that could be something that you guys are facing in the coming months or even years out here?
It's always a concern. I know historically Spokane had one of the issues that was when I got here several years ago was it was northbound. So it was northbound drugs and southbound cash. And now we have the issue of southbound drugs, northbound cash. You know, it'll change. It depends on what the product is. It's gotten to be the most, you know, useful or easier to move. So fentanyl's the big deal right now. They were moving a lot of meth north and then money south.
We briefly kind of touched on the relationship with Canada.
Yes.
Tell me how it's paramount to the security of the border up here. There's
Sure.
no infrastructure really
Yeah.
across the northern border.
Yeah, this whole government approach for us to secure the border is extremely important, right? The resources are limited in this area in terms of manpower, infrastructure, so that partnership is key. So RCMP does a really great job working with our folks here and across our whole 308 miles of land border that we have and the few miles of marine border that we have. And that partnership is critical, really, to the border security here. RCMP and the U.S. Border Patrol have, you know, several priorities in how we want to ensure that we're detecting, identifying, and mitigating, you know, any threats that cross the border with 100% certainty. And some of that is vehicle barriers, assistance when it comes to sharing information, especially on the criminal organizations that are operating in this area, and technology. So those pieces are very critical to our success here. Now, we will succeed and we will win. That's how we do it. But that partnership is key to ensuring that we meet that vision and that goal of protecting this border and protecting America.
When it comes to the vehicle barriers,
Sure.
Something that Chris was mentioning would be essential up here because especially when it snows, you can get snowmobiles over, all these different things. Are there conversations happening about those structures, those vehicle barriers with Canada?
Absolutely. That was a priority for us to identify locations along our 308 miles of border where vehicle barriers would be a good option for us to stop that cross-border activity, illegal activity.
Now, where are we at in the stages of that planning, talking,
Sure.
and from what I understand with the superintendent of BC?
Yeah, we're absolutely in the talking and planning phases of that.
Who would be fronting the money for that? Would it be a joint effort between the U.S. and Canada, or would it be the U.S. because it was kind of our ask, or was it a, hey, we both want this, what's going on?
We both want this. It's an ask from both sides. So in the conversations with RCMP, it's trying to identify who's going to pay for what section of border area. You know, so we haven't gone that far yet. But it's not going to be something that the U.S. solely pays for because it's an ask from both sides.
Does it look promising? I know you said you're in the planning part of it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you what's the time frame? Could we see it in the next couple months or a couple years? What are we looking at?
I mean, I really hard to give you a time frame on that, but I'm always as soon as possible. You know, so there's a lot of steps that need to take place for it to happen, but hopefully sooner than later.
Now, when we talked to Vice President J.D. Vance in Arizona months ago, the northern border Swanton sector specifically, they had some, 250% increase or whatever. It was something astronomical for their encounters. Obviously, it's not necessarily the case down here. But I asked him if he thought that there needed to be a structure or a wall. And he said it was more important to have that working relationship with Canada and for Canada to do their part. Do you agree?
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. I don't believe that a wall is necessary right here. I do believe that vehicle barriers to stop that drive-through activity is absolutely important. The relationship with them, working with them on a daily basis, doing mirror patrols, sharing intelligence, having boots on the ground is critically important, as well as all the technology that we have here to detect, identify, and mitigate, and that's our goal.
And you share some of that technology? Do you guys have access to each other's cameras, or is it more, Kaka, we've got someone over here, they're coming your way? What does that look like?
Yeah, I really like to not talk real specifics on that kind of information when it comes to technology sharing, but there is an ongoing effort to share information and technology with the Canadian government.
And a trusted partnership there
Absolutely,
with them?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, with the law enforcement partners, absolutely, and it's a really good relationship, and on a first name basis type relationship from the top of the leadership all the way down to the boots on the ground.
Good. I don't think a lot of people know that, right? They see Canada and the U.S. kind of disjointed right now, so it's good to hear the insight from the people that are keeping America safe,
Yeah.
you know, that you guys do have that good, open, working relationship with them.
Yeah, we don't try to bring any of that stuff, you know, into the day-to-day operations, boots on the ground, and protecting both sides of the border.
Awesome. Anything I didn't ask you that our viewers need to know about this very vast and very
Sure.
remote area?
Yeah, as you can see, right, it's obviously beautiful, and PIC Young explained, you know, that this environment and how challenging it is to operate in here, but you know, our goal as the Border Patrol when it comes to, you know, northern border, southern border, and coastal border is 100% situational awareness and operational control of the border, and that means zero gotaways. So those are our priorities, and that's what we're working for, you know, the remainder of this fiscal year and into the future.
Zero gotaways.
Zero gotaways, that's the
All right,
goal.
boss.
All right.
So we just wrapped up our exclusive ride along with Border Patrol up here in the Spokane sector. We're actually the first network to be able to do so. We spent a lot of time here in Whitefish, Montana, which is part of that sector. And this is the northern border. As you can see, there is no structural barrier. There is nothing up here. Chief Liebe telling us that they are working with Canada right now. They're in talks and in the planning phases of getting some vehicle barriers up here to get some kind of structure up here to prevent vehicles and ATVs and things like that from crossing the border. The tariff pressure, that's also mounting, something that they're keeping an eye on. But Border Patrol, they will continue to do their mission, which is securing the border. So if someone's coming across the border illegally, doesn't matter what they're carrying. They're going to stop them, they're going to question them, and they're going to figure out what their intentions are. Thanks for watching this episode of Bradley on the Border.